Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, Success Code peoples. Happy Saturday and welcome to the Success Code Fireside Chat. I'm your host, Lorna Sherland. And, today I want to start off the show with gratitude because this week has been such a week of, let me say, blessings. As we live our lives, we sometimes get so busy with life, so busy with doing, so busy with going, that we forget sometimes to just be grateful for the present. And I was reminded of that this week as I experienced my week. Give me a second here with my tech. As I experienced my week this week, I was brought to that awareness to be so grateful for the moment and understand that that is part of the game of success. You can define success however you want to define it. You can define it by the cars, you can define it by the houses, you can define it by the friendships. Whatever you deem that to be for yourself, that's all good. Uh, and be focused on it. Be focused on it because it's what you want, and it's what I teach is you got to be present to what your vision is, what your mission is, what your values are. But don't forget the gratitude piece, y'all. Don't forget the gratitude piece because at the end of the day, all the things can fall away. And whatever you're left with, that's what you're left with, right? So I wanted to just encourage you to be present in the moment on this Saturday. Just be willing to be grateful for every single breath that you take, for every single person that you have present in your space because you want them to be, not because they have to be. And just be present in the fact that you're here. You're here. That tells me that there's more for you to do on this planet, and you get to be fulfilled. So today, we're going to continue our conversation from last week. I don't know if you watched the episode last week on YouTube, but we're going to continue our conversation from last week about the high cost of looking successful, which is why I always talk about, you get to define what success is for you. Typically, when I have a guest on the show, I will ask them, what does success mean to them? That's the first question I ask because we want to make sure we have context about who we're talking to at the time. So having context about what success is super important. So I'm going to tell you, because we don't have a speaker today. I wanted to teach today. So I don't have a speaker, not a speaker, but a guest today. I'm used to saying speaker because I'm always doing these online shows, right? But I don't have a guest today. It's just me and you in this fireside chat. Let's go. All right, so we're gonna continue that conversation. I'm gonna be looking at my notes. If I look away from the camera, just know that I'm keeping myself on track, looking at my notes as we go through the conversation today. Right. So last week we were talking about the high cost of looking successful, and we were talking about a lot of things on that show where the burnout that it causes, the uncomfortableness that it causes, all the sickness that it causes, all the hidden challenges that we have behind the scenes because we want other people to think that we are successful, right? And what would it look like if we showed up authentically just because, and let people see, hey, this is my journey. This is one of the reasons I do this show, is because this has been a journey for me. This is not me saying I'm successful and I have the success code. No. This is me saying this is a journey. I've determined what success, I had determined what success looked like. And I paid a high price for looking successful. I had the cars, I had the house, I had the business, I had all the things. And behind the scenes, my relationships were falling apart, my marriage was falling apart, and it wasn't pretty, y'all. It was not pretty. So I wanted to bring that to the forefront, that if you're in that space and you are going through the same things I just mentioned, you're not alone, number one, and there's a way out. There's the other side. It's just a little bit of work, and you get to surround yourself with the right people to support you through that process. Because here's the thing, most of us are operating under the guise and the rules of our parents. Our parents, they were operating under the guise and the rules of their parents, right? And we just took them on as truth. I was writing a post the other day, and I said in it, a belief is something. A belief is a habit. A belief is a habit. A belief is a habit of a thought. A belief is a habit of a thought that you keep thinking over and over and over again until you say it's true. And then it becomes truth to you. And in the collective, from history of our grandparents, our parents, our schools, or the society, politicians, all the things, the more you hear that, the more you believe it, is because you're listening to it as a habit, right? That's why the Bible talks about be careful what you hear. Be careful what you hear, be careful what you see. There's a lot of instruction in the Bible, y'all. I don't consider the Bible a religious book anymore. I used to think that way. I don't think that way anymore. I think it's a book of instructions on how to live. And if we read it, we'll find a lot of nuggets in it that will support us on our journey. So, as we build these beliefs, these habits of thought, and they become the norm, they become the truth, whether it's individually in a family or collectively as a society, then we've been living that as truth, as this is the way it is, and there's no other way. Well, as you know, if you've been in my world for a little while, I'm the disruptor. So I'm going to disrupt that thought for you today, just to have you think a different thought, see if it lands, and then if it does, you can start figuring out a way to make it yours in your way. You have to make it the way I say it. You got to make it the way you want it to be, right? So the thought I'm disrupting is that success is a lot of money. Success is wealth. Wealth is money. I'm disrupting all those thoughts, right? I saw a quote this week during my studies. I saw a quote this week, and it says that prosperity is a state of consciousness. And I had to stop and think, y'all. Let me just tell you, I had to stop and think. Why? Because as I've come through this life, right, through different cultures, I'm Jamaican, from a Jamaican heritage that is steeped in, we work hard, right? And then coming to America, same thing, but more expansive in the sense that there's more. In Jamaica, it's like the thought process is like, you got to work hard because there's a little, you got to get yours because, right? In America, it's the same thought process, but it's more expansive, right? And so prosperity, I didn't align prosperity with a state of consciousness because prosperity to me, that was given to me by the revelation of my parents and my grandparents, meant to have, right? So this is the disruption that I'm bringing to you. Prosperity, does it mean to you to have stuff, or to have whatever? Or is it a state of consciousness? A state of consciousness needs a definition too, right? What is consciousness? In my world, consciousness is an awareness, right? An awareness of what is, or an awareness of how, let's say, I am, right? How am I within myself, right? There's another quote that goes, you know, the mind is a conduit of consciousness. So that's why I said how I think, because then now you say if the mind is a conduit of consciousness, then thinking is the way to consciousness. How do you think? That's consciousness. So prosperity is a state of consciousness just means how do you think about things? That's is as simple as I could say it. As simple as I could say it. How do you think about things? Are you thinking about it from the past, from the programming, from all the things that you've been taught? Or are you thinking about it from your perspective, how you choose to view the world and how you choose to view yourself as a person, as a human being, as a divine person? Because we are versions of God, right? So whoever God is for you. So I'm not saying I'm religious. I'm not beating down your religion, whoever it is for you. What I want you to hear is you get to decide what that is for you. Prosperity is whatever you deemed it to be. It could be I am prosperous because my health is amazing, right? That's one of my prosperity consciousness, right? At this age, to be this morning, I was out. I didn't run the marathon. I ran alongside them because I totally forgot they were running today. But the fact that I was able to run for 5 minutes, walk for 5 minutes, run for five at my age, I'm like, yes, this is prosperity, right? Because I know people my age and younger who can't even move. They can't move their body, right? So that goes back to the gratitude that I started the conversation with today, because being aware of just that is power, y'all, power. And I don't know what you're looking for. I don't know what success means to you, but I'm going to say success starts with you. Who do you say you are in the world, and how do you show up in the world for others? But notice I said starts with you, because if you keep going based on other people's ideas, you're going to continue to be burnt out, and you're going to continue to be sick, and you're going to continue to be unhappy. You're going to continue to have all the stress that comes along with all of that. And again, I'm not speaking to you from, you know, theory. Experience teaches wisdom is one thing my grandmother used to tell me. Experience teaches wisdom. But again, you got to be aware when it's teaching you the lessons, right? That's why there's no failure. There is no failure. So, as we dive deep into this today, let me just look at my notes. So, yeah, the next point was, we're going to talk about the abundance idea as well, right? So we talked about prosperity. We're going to talk about the abundance idea as well. We're going to talk about how, this stuff is so good. When I started creating this, I was like, how do I bring this to the conversation in a way that is powerful, empowering, and applicable, that you can actually embody, right? So one of the things that I learned, and I'm still learning, by the way, you'll always hear me say that because I believe that we get to learn. There's something to learn every day in our lives, and as long as we're open to that, it'll show up for us. I could tell you stories upon stories. Like I said, this week has been so full. I am so grateful for this week. So let's talk about the illusion of abundance, right? We talked about prosperity as a state of consciousness. On the other side of that is the illusion of abundance versus the embodiment of abundance. So I think the through line that you're going to see today in the conversation is how everything leads back to you. Everything leads back to you, right? Because You can have the house, you can have the designer bag, you can have the social media presence, and you're a celebrity, and inside of you, you still feel broke, you still feel anxious, you still feel, like something is missing inside of you. Hence why we hear about all the celebrities who have so much stuff, so much things, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not down in any of that. And if you're not starting within and embodying the state of abundance, right? This thing called, hear Tony Robbins talk about state all the time. And I used to say, what do you mean change your state? And it wasn't until I got into the leadership training at hardcore leadership that began to understand what state meant, right? Even though this is stuff we learned in high school, right? The state of water. Water can be frozen, water can be flowing liquid, right? Water can be just molecules in the air as humidity, state of the water, right? But I didn't understand, I didn't relate it, right? That's why continuous learning, because you don't always have the revelation in school, right? So the state of being abundant is also within you, right? It's not necessary. It can also express itself as stuff, right? But when the stuff is more important than the within, then that's where we have the challenge, right? That's where we have the chaos. That's where we have the depression, the sadness, all the things, because we forgot that it starts within. And if we're always paying attention to the things on the outside, you guys, I'm telling you, you're gonna get to a point. I have not met, heard, or studied anyone who's successful who hasn't gone within to be at peace in the long run with the stuff that they have, right? The inner work had to happen. It's either they do the inner work or they lose themselves and then lose the things, right? So really embodying abundance, really embodying prosperity, embodying it, meaning it's literally coming from inside out, right? And here's the thing: if you have already figured out how to have the stuff come to you and working hard, that working hard is a part of the game as well, right? But what if you do it from a place of peace? I know that's the game I'm playing. And I want you to come along because it's just so much more fun. Because as you get to know yourself, it's just like amazing to see the transformation. When you become so aware, you see the transformation. That level of success. I watch people like what's his name? Deepak Chopra. And I used to wonder, this guy, he looked like he don't have no problems. Right? And I was like, wait a minute. Something is different about how he moves in the world. And I watch him, and I study people like this, right? I watch him, and I saw that he had weight problems, right? He used to eat, if that's the only thing I saw that was like the obvious on the exterior, he had weight problems. I used to see his weight go up and down, up and down, up and down, right? And when I saw that, I didn't even catch it at the time that, this guy has been successful for so many years, right? And then at one point, his weight stabilized. And every time I saw him anywhere, he was at the same weight. Even the other day, I just saw that he started a new program. His weight was like the same, like the last 5 years I've seen him, his weight is the same weight. So just understanding that Everybody has the same challenge. It's just a matter of how they choose to deal with it, how they choose to handle it at the time, how they choose to embody it. We all have the same challenges. So, embodying abundance from within so it come out is like power, right? Um, then success doesn't become a performance. Success just becomes something that you be, right? Because when you've been conditioned to look the part, um, but looking like you have everything often comes at the cost of your peace or even your profit. Well, that's a lose-lose situation, right? Because then you lose yourself, and then the other piece of that is uh, the identity piece, because my understanding, my study of people has shown me that a lot of people have their identity based on the things they have, not on who they are. And I fell into that trap, right? My identity was in my bank account, how much money was in my bank account. And if that a certain amount of money was not in my bank account, then something was wrong with me, right? Then I found evidence of it in a lot of the people that were around me. So learning how to ground myself in who I am versus my bank account was a journey, and a really painful journey as well, right? So if you really start thinking about how you can embody the things that you deem to be successful, it will change your life. And then the other piece of this is, abundance without alignment is just pure exhaustion. I yesterday I was on a. I just gotta take a sip. Give me 1 second. I've been talking. Yesterday I was on a panel on a virtual stage, and a few of the women on the stage. One of them was sick, but she showed up, which she was so powerful. The other one, she was just getting over a bout of sickness, and that was two. I think those are the two. It was like five of us or six of us, and two out of the six of us were challenged with their health. And one was talking about how she was so exhausted that she got sick, right? And that was because she forgot why she was doing the things she was doing. One of the things I see people do all the time is they fill their calendars with so much stuff, and they wear working like a badge of honor instead of a calling to purpose. And that, my friend, is the formula for exhaustion. It is the formula for exhaustion. You can hustle your way into temporary wins, but until you embody your calling and purpose and surround yourself with the right people to support your purpose, I'm gonna tell you, it's just it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not rooted in your true identity, and it's not rooted in your true values enough to sustain the purpose, enough to sustain you to sustain the purpose. Can you hear what I'm saying? I hope this makes sense to y'all. I hope this makes sense, because if you hear what I'm saying to you today, it's going to change your life. Another person that I really, 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 really admire is Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson is this. Let me think about how I want to how I want to say this, because y'all already know we're talking about real talk today. Business is in the midst of it, but we're talking about real talk today again. Russell Brunson, my experience of, because I met him personally, Russell Brunson is one of those guys who he's just real, y'all. He is on a journey. He realizes he's on a journey. He has humbled himself to the fact that he's on a journey. He embodies the fact that he's on a journey. He never downplays anybody at the gain of himself or his notoriety. He is just abundant. He's the one person that I could say in my world of coaching and all the things that is so authentically himself. When I met this guy, I was actually shocked when I experienced him in person because I expected a person of his net worth and notoriety and all the things he's accomplished with ClickFunnels and the success secrets. I expected this guy to be this arrogant, you know, you are breathing my ear, so be careful person. And he was just so humble while having all the things. And as I continue to listen to his conversations, he's even doing more inner work. And so somebody like him is where his abundance is in alignment with who he is. It's like locked in, locked in, you know? And so from just watching him, I've seen that real abundance really flows through the alignment, not the appearance, right? Because he's aligned, the abundance just flows. His ideas just flow. He was sharing a story the other day. I was listening to one of his podcasts, and he was sharing a story about how him and his team, when he walks into a room, him and his team, they're working together. He's giving so many ideas, and he's telling his team, "Hey, just listen to me, give you ideas. Don't do anything with it. Just listen to me, give you ideas." Because he's so full of purpose that ideas just flow out of him, and then whichever one sounds like the thing that we need as a community, then that's the one that he produces, right? So what would like your life look like if you lived like that? I know I'm after that because it's his way of being is something I admire, right? So let's talk about your nervous system and being fake. Let's talk about your nervous system and being fake. Your nervous system cannot handle being fake, right? Your nervous system can't handle being fake. That is why we get tired. That's why we get exhausted. And again, I'm talking to you from experience. I remember my nervous system was so out of whack that it was causing all kinds of things in my body, and I didn't understand that it was my nervous system that was causing the things, the thoughts I was having. That's why everything starts with a thought. Everything starts with a thought. Everything starts with a thought. Every abundance, every prosperity, every idea that leads to money, every value starts with a thought. So if your nervous system is out of whack and you're in survival mode all the time, it's not gonna support your well-being, number one, and it's definitely not gonna support your success. So one thing I've come to understand is that your body and your identity must match for the frequency that you say you want, right? So in order to sustain any level of success, there must be identity and body alignment, right? And that comes from the way you think about yourself, the way you think about society, the way you think about the rules that you've been following. All of those things that I've suggested so far, you've got to determine what it is for you. This is the season, my friends. This is the season where it gets to happen, right? It gets to happen. because outside of that, I don't know. I don't know. So, how would you redefine abundance for yourself um, so that you can experience a life of flow, right? How can you experience abundance for yourself so you can experience a life of flow that helps you to embody who you be, let it flow out of you, create that ripple effect in the world so that you can feel fulfilled. Because at the end of the day, we are all seeking fulfillment, right? Because that's why, a lot of people who have a lot of things, they do drugs, they drink alcohol, they have, a weird life because they're seeking that fulfillment. And because they're not really aligned, then they can't find it, right? They won't find that fulfillment. So, how can you really create such a life that you are in harmony, you're in the right frequency of abundance and prosperity and all the fullness of life? I know that's what I would love for myself. So that's what I want for you, is to have it all, but on your terms. This entire conversation on the Success Code Fireside Chat today was all about having it all on your terms, whatever that looks like, right? Because here's the other thing. Sometimes there are people in the world who will have you think that because you're not doing the things they're doing and you're not seeking the things they're seeking, that you're not successful. This is the reason why I keep saying success gets to be your definition of success, so that you're not comparing your success to anybody else's success, because comparison is a thief of joy. And just imagine a time when you were a child and you had joy. You didn't have nothing to worry about. You were just happy. That's still possible. Still possible. And I think that's still what we're supposed to be here to do, to live in joy. There's a scripture that says, I wish above all that you would prosper and be successful even as your soul prospers, right? And there's another one that talks about peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding. Those are the things you should go after, along with your desire, right? What do you use it desire? You desire, a lot of money in the bank. You desire a beautiful family. You desire a great car, whatever that is. That's fine. All I'm saying is start with your inner being in alignment of who you are authentically, and then go after all the things you want. That's your power. This way you're in control of everything that happens, not the other way around. Took me a minute. That's why I'm here to share it with you, and collapse the time for you so that you can manifest what you want at a faster rate and with more joy and peace than going through the motions. So, all right. Here's a question I want to ask you. Because again, awareness is the first step to transformation. So if you're in this conversation with me and you're here till the end, something I've said has touched your spirit. And if you're in the replay, hey, put it in the comments. I want to hear from you. I'll come back in and I'll respond to your comments. But I want to hear from you this one thing. What's the one thing you've done in the name of looking abundant that actually cost you your peace, your money, and your joy? I'm going to say it again. What's the one thing you've done in the name of looking abundant or looking successful, that actually cost you your peace, your money, and your joy? Put it in the comments. Let me hear from you. Um, this has been really a journey your mind to who you are and what the success look like for you truly. I'm going to continue to bring amazing guests on the show who have gone through it all, and who may still be going through it, by the way. And that's the one thing that is my intention for my show, right? Is to bring real people going through real things and sharing real solutions for you, right? So keep coming back, keep liking, keep sharing, and keep posting your questions in the comments because you matter. You matter. And we're here to support you. And we're here on a journey together, right? Together we win. Together we become abundant. Together we are prosperous, right? So it's been an honor to be here with you. That's all I got for today. Happy Saturday. And I want to say this to you as a last takeaway. Take some time to be still and really determine, what do you really want your success to look like at this stage? Because here's what I know. The success that you've experienced up until now is only the beginning, y'all. It's only the beginning. What else is possible? And here's the other thing I know. The person you have been or you had to become to hit the success that you determined or that somebody else determined for you up until now, it's not the same person who's going to create your next level of success. So you really get to be still and really hear yourself so that you can create from a new space. It's been an honor to be here at the Success Code FireSide Chat. Join me next week when we'll have a guest on the show and we'll continue in our conversation to debunk the myths about success that we've been told. Have an amazing Saturday, y'all. I'll see you next week.